Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. It's Wednesday, and the patch notes for patch 12.2 have been posted, which means it's time for another patch note rundown. As always, I'll be going through the top 5 changes on this week's patch, and letting you guys know what you can be looking forward to in the coming weeks. 12.2 has actually a bunch of changes. This is sort of the fixer-upper from the chaos of preseason and fixing a bunch of the things that, now that the ranked season has started, people are starting to learn and abuse in their own ranked games. So let's go ahead and start talking about the changes on this week's patch and letting you guys know what the most important things are. Number one, of course, is that Zeri is going to be coming on this patch. So she will be going live. I feel like she's a really interesting character, but we'll see how strong she is. I feel like she has a lot of good tools, but also there's a lot that I think Zeri is going to suffer from. So we'll see where she ends up landing post-release, hopefully in a pretty decent spot. Moving on to our number 4 change here, it's the Janna update. Now, I did a previous video that goes more into depth on these changes. If you guys are interested, I will have that linked down in the description. But suffice to say, Janna is losing power out of her W and back into her E and her Q to make her feel more like sort of the classic Janna playstyle, which is protecting your allies and knocking away enemies with your Q and your E, and less about just sort of spam poking them out of lane. Her W is going to become a more impactful cooldown while not really maintaining its ability to be used as a poke tool. Q is going to end up being a significantly better tool overall for not only protecting your allies, but also for setting up your own plays due to its massively increased movement speed versus how it is on live right now. And Eye of the Storm has a much lower cooldown when maxed first, which means that I really do feel like Janna is going to be back to an Emax build, probably followed by a Qmax build in order to fully capitalize on the reduced cooldowns and mana costs of these abilities respectively. So really excited to see these changes for Janna, and hopefully they put her in a good spot going forwards. Moving on down to the Senna changes here. Now, Senna is gaining a slow on her Q, and it's a 20% 2-second slow. That's not that big of a deal, but remember that Senna also gets bonus movement speed whenever she auto-attacks a unit, and her Q basically counts as an auto-attack. And while this doesn't put her quite into the same situation that Frozen Mallet Gnar had, where he would constantly slow you and give himself movement speed and could not be escaped as long as he could auto-attack you, it definitely improves Senna's versatility by a fair amount. I don't think it's necessarily going to be busted. I don't think this returns her to her Frostfire Gauntlet days or the days where she had Glogment available to her, but I definitely think it's going to be a really big ability for Senna to be able to use, especially when she's playing in the support position, I would say, because then it gives her just that little bit of extra utility. So interested to see where this shapes up. I'm hesitantly optimistic, but it may end up still being really too good on Senna. Moving on down to Tahm Kench here. Now, Riot recently did a big rework to Tahm Kench in order to make him less of a priority pick in pro play, and while they were attempting to maintain his play rates between support and top lane, realistically, his support play has not been very good of late. So Riot have been trying to make some changes to make him feel a little bit better as a support. I think foremost here, the Devour Ally Shield has been significantly buffed, allowing you to really just keep somebody alive the second you put them in your stomach. And Tahm Kench also has his movement speed back upon devouring an ally. Now keep in mind that this is also when moving towards allies, or towards enemies, which means that Tahm Kench has the playback of scooping up a Juggernaut, sprinting at the enemy, and then spitting the Juggernaut at them, which is kind of hilarious. So big fan of that change in particular. There's a couple other things here, like Tahm Kench getting more health back from his gray health if there are multiple enemies nearby, dead or alive, mind you. So even if you kill the first guy, you can still get a bunch of health back, which is kind of fun. But in general, I feel like these changes should help revitalize support Tahm Kench and give him access to a bevy of tools that Tahm Kench isn't really able to utilize to their full strength. Finally, moving on down here to the lethal tempo nerfs. Now, Riot have been attempting to make this more of a scaling rune, but right now it's basically a beat stick for melee champions, especially in lane, and not really the scaling version, which puts it in conflict with Press the Attack, which is supposed to be more of the early game weighted, go for a quick trade, proc PTA, and back off. Instead, it's lethal tempo that's being used to bully people. So Riot have basically nerfed this down and given it a scaling component to it, so it now no longer gives the full value up front. You will have to get champion levels in order to get this back to its full strength, but it also has been buffed at these later levels, so you will still have the ability to get more value out of lethal tempo on this new patch than you do currently on live. So really happy to see these changes. And that's going to be it for the top 5 changes of this week's patch, you guys. Let me know which you're most excited for down in the comment section below. I know I'm excited to get my hands on Zeri. I think that's the most important thing for me out of this patch, but there are some other changes here too. So go ahead and check out the patch notes and then let me know what you're most excited for in the comments. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days like today as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all later.